today on AAPD Online Live, we have Brad Needling from the Department of Education here to show us the new Iowa Core website. So welcome, Brad. Tell us about the new website.
Great. Thanks, Rob. This is really an exciting new step for us in supporting implementation of the Iowa Core. We built a brand new website that is intended to be a one-stop shop for all things Iowa Core, where you can get access to the information and the tools that you need not only to support implementation of the Iowa Core, but to tell others the story of the Iowa Core and to let them know what it's all about.
So what is the web address for this?
The web address for the Iowa Core website is iowacore.gov.
Okay. So what kinds of things will people find there?
People can find 3 or 4 basic things. First, the actual Iowa Core standards themselves, where you can dig in and see all of the knowledge and skills kids need to learn. We've also got a section of Educator Resources, which are tools and information that educators can use to either learn about the Iowa Core or to implement the Iowa Core. There's a Parents and Community section, which is intended to be really focused on those two groups, parents and community, to give them information that they need about the Iowa Core so they can support children in learning the Iowa Core as well. And finally, we know that it's really important to not just have tools and information about the Iowa Core, but also to really tell the human story of the Iowa Core and to hear how it influences different people and what it means to them and how it's affected their practice. So we've got a section called the Iowa Core Spotlight where people can hear stories about how the Iowa Core has worked for them.
So what's some of the reasons why people might want to come to this site?
Sure. So there are often a lot of questions about what is the Iowa Core and what am I supposed to do with the Iowa Core. So we've got information that helps answer some of those basic questions. But sometimes educators really and truly are often just looking for some tools that can help them in the classroom day in and day out to work with their students in engaging and learning around the Iowa Core. And we've got things like lesson plans and units and student materials here on this website that can help with that. So really it's 2 things. One, people often have a lot of questions about what the Iowa Core is all about, and we've got a lot of information here about what the Iowa Core is all about. And we also, to support educators that really are looking for tools to help them teach it and use it, that they can find some things on this website to help them in their classrooms.
Okay. So Brad, why don't you show us the different parts here of the website?
Sure. So when you land here on iowacore.gov, you can see here at the top, you've got the same banner that is at the top of a lot of the state government websites, and in this case, the Department of Education's banner is right here. So you can still get to the rest of the DE website from here. But what you're really interested in, if you're looking for Iowa Core, is everything that's below this blue banner. And you can see the logo. You can see there's a little homepage link here. There's a link here that gives you some background information about the Iowa Core. So if you want to check that out, you can really see the history of it and where it came from. Okay? And for some people that's really important because they want to know where it came from to begin with. You can also contact us here at the Contact Us link. And there you're going to find some general contact information, but you're also going to find the leads for each of the content areas of the Iowa Core and how to contact them. And if you've got some feedback for us, there's a link right there. Iowa Core website feedback form that you can fill out. We've also got a search link here. And it's important to use this button, this link right here, instead of this one up here, because this is for all Iowa government websites. This search button right here is just for the Iowa Core website. So you can find anything you want about the Iowa Core on our website using this search feature. So if I wanted to learn something about fractions, for example, I could type in fractions, hit search, and it's going to pull up a lot of information about fractions and all the standards that address those. So that's what the search can do. Now let's go back to the home page. And as I was saying, there are several big pieces of information and resources that you can find here. And these buttons are going to be at the top of every page. Okay? The Iowa Core Standards, where you can learn about the standards themselves. Educator Resources, which are those tools and information that educators can use to learn about the standards or to implement the Iowa Core. And we've got the Parents and Community section button here as well that'll take you to that section if you're a parent or a member of the community that wants to learn more about the Iowa Core. Over on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see a slideshow that you'll see on a lot of home pages, and it just has the stories and information that we really want to highlight about the Iowa Core. And anytime one comes up, you can just click on it and it will take you to that story or that resource. What I really want to show you, though, is down the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the three big sections that correspond to each one of these buttons at the top. So this Explore the Iowa Core is a place where you can start digging into the standards themselves right from the home page. And we will navigate there in a minute. Next, Educator Resources. These are links that will take you to those tools and information that will help with implementing the Iowa Core and using the Iowa Core in your classroom with your students. This section is really dedicated here to the parents and community, and we've got a few highlighted resources for parents and community on the home page, but there's another page that's got all of the resources that you can navigate to as well. And we're going to go to each one of those sections here in a minute. But the last thing that I wanted to highlight for you on the home page is the Iowa Core Spotlight. This is where you can hear the human story of the Iowa Core, where you can see what it has meant to people and how it influences their thinking and their practice for those that are classroom educators. So you can see three of the highlighted spotlights here on the home page, but there are many more on the Spotlight page. So that's another section of the website that you can navigate to. So those are the big sections of the homepage.
Okay. So let's talk about the different parts then.
Sure, absolutely. So let's go ahead and do the Explore the Iowa Core. And so the first thing we'll want to do is think about from the homepage, what content area do we want to go to? Now there are 5 content areas in the Iowa Core website. So let's go ahead and click on Subject, and you can see all 5 of those subject areas that are in the Iowa Core: literacy, mathematics, science, social studies, and 21st century skills. So the first decision here is to decide what part of the Iowa Core do you want to look at. So for the sake of example, I'm going to click on this literacy button. And what that does then is give you a couple of options. One is you can read a lot of background information about literacy up here at the top, and you can hit this little caret button here, and that will actually unveil all the rest of the overview information about literacy. Now, if I wanted to focus on one particular grade level, then I can look here, and you can see all the grade levels are on the left-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead, for the sake of example, again, click on 3rd grade. And now, for 3rd grade, the Iowa Core is broken up into smaller sections. So now we want to decide what section of the Iowa Core do we want to look at. And a lot of times people are very interested in reading comprehension. That's really why we read, right, is to ultimately understand what it is that we're looking at and to gain information. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Reading Standards for Informational Text. That's one of the sets of standards that deals with reading comprehension. And you can see the Iowa Core continues to get more and more specific as we go. And even though these buttons are in the middle, what you will also see is on the left-hand side, the site has been keeping track of everything that we've clicked on. So you can see we clicked on Literacy, Grade 3, Reading Standards for Informational Text, and then you can see the 4 areas that are inside the informational text standards. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Key Ideas and Details. And this takes us to a page that has all 4 standards associated with key ideas and details for the grade 3 literacy standards. So you can see the standards written in full on this page. You can also see over here on the left-hand side that you can continue to navigate to the different parts of the literacy standards for grade 3. But I want to learn a little bit more about these standards. So you can click on the View Standard button underneath the standard. And what it does is it pulls up a page that still has the standard. You can see the number that goes with the standard itself, and then a section called For Educators, Depth of Knowledge Levels. Depth of knowledge is a tool that educators can use to design assessments and instruction that is really going to get to the heart of what the standard is all about. So the standard does a good job of describing what the knowledge and skills are, but depth of knowledge really helps us understand what we want the students to do with that knowledge and skills that are in the standard. So you can learn more about the depth of knowledge levels in that tool here. And then for each standard in literacy, there are DOK levels associated with it. And so what we learn on this page is that there's a DOK 1, 2, and 3 associated with this standard. So if I want to know, well, what's a DOK 1 mean? I'll click on that button and it'll pop up this window that gives a deeper explanation about what a DOK 1 is for reading. Then you can close that window. And you can see that the other standards are still accessible here. And in the future, we will continue to add more information and resources to this page that help you understand what the standard's all about. This is just where we're starting. Now, for some people, they want to see the whole document at once. They don't want to just look at one thing at a time like this. And for you, what you will see on each one of these pages, and if you've noticed as we went, that you can download the Word document or the PDF of the entire Iowa Core literacy for all grade levels, K-12, right here on the right-hand side. If you want to learn more information or just have some questions about the Iowa Core for Literacy, in this case, you can contact Rita Martins. You can see her email address and her phone number over there. And if we go back through some of these pages, you can see that her contact information and the full Iowa Core is on all of these pages. So that's how you go from a very broad subject area down to a very specific standard, and you can really learn what that standard's all about using the Core Explorer.
So on the right-hand side is where you can download the whole document if you want to. On the left-hand side of that page, you're really kind of seeing how you've drilled down into the Iowa Core to get to where you are, and you can use that to kind of back up and go back and forth then.
That's exactly right. And also, if you're done and you want to get to another place on the website, you can either click on the logo, that'll take you to the home page, Iowa Core home link will, or you can go to a different section of the website because these 3 buttons you can see are still at the top of all of these pages.
Okay.
So maybe next we could look at the Educator Resources.
Okay.
So I'm just going to click the button from this page so you can see how we can navigate to this page from the Core Explorer. And what you can see is this page is really organized into 4 main categories. And this really is geared towards educators. The first category is Iowa Learns, and we will dig into that in a little bit. But Iowa Learns is an online repository that we use to house the lessons and the units and the student materials and some of those classroom tools that educators can use to implement the Iowa Core. Instructional resources are additional things that we really want to highlight that may be in Iowa Learns or may not, but they are some tools, often some of the newest tools that we have that we want to make sure that educators really see. So those are still things that teachers could use in their classrooms with their students, or they may be more general strategy-based things that would apply across a lot of grade levels and content areas. We've got assessment resources here, which are tools that will educators can use to either engage in assessment with students and learn about the things that they are developing their knowledge and skills about, or just background information about assessment and different and some of the latest assessment news that's going on in the state. Implementation Resources is geared more towards administrators and AEA personnel. Implementation Resources are really about professional learning and supporting educators to build not only their knowledge and skills in the Iowa Core, but in good instruction and assessment practices. So that's really where professional learning resources are going to be, is under Implementation Resources. We will also have things like information and tools related to the C plan. Districts need to complete C plans every year, and Iowa Core is part of the C plan, so you can find information about that under Implementation Resources as well. Now, Iowa Learns, as I said, is our online repository. So if you're really looking for resources to help you use the Iowa Core in your classrooms with students, then you can do a couple things. One, we've got some directions here for logging on to Iowa Learns. So you can go to that page, and it's going to lay out all the steps that you need to log in. Now, what's important to note is that while we have over 8,000 resources in Iowa Learns for K-12 literacy and mathematics to date, only 150 or so of them require you to log in. Those are password protected because those were purchased materials, and those can't be open to everybody. Everything else on Iowa Learns right now is an open educational resource, so you don't actually have to log in to be able to access those. So you can click on the Iowa Learns link, and it's going to take you to this login screen. And as I said, for the most part, you're not going to need to log in. So you can just log in as a guest. And here you can see, you can browse by grade level, subject area, the type of resource. So if it's a video, or if it's a document, or if it's a website, it'll break it down that way. Browse by collection. We only have one collection right now because we've just started using Iowa Learns, but over time we'll have specific collections, and we'll tell you more about those when we have them. And you can also browse by standard. So if you're looking for very particular things to address specific standards, you can find those things by browsing by standard. So this, very briefly, is Iowa Learns and what that environment looks like when you get to that page. And again, this is where we really keep lessons and units and student materials that you can use in your classrooms if you're a classroom teacher. So I'll go ahead and navigate back to the Iowa Core website, and highlight here too, just so you can see it, that Iowa Core Spotlight actually shows up on the bottom of this page, so you can access it from multiple places on the website. So that's where that's one place where you can get to the Spotlight, the bottom of the Educator Resources page.
So Brad, if someone wants to, do teachers already have a login for Iowa Learns?
Yes, so the way the logins work right now is every school building in the state has a username and a password. So not every individual has one, it's every school has one. So it's a building level login.
And it's the same thing that you use for getting to all the Iowa online resources.
It is almost identical except for one thing. It's the same username and it's the same password, except you put the letters DR in front of that password.
Okay.
And that means digital repository. And by doing that, that will get you access into Iowa Learns. But other than that, it is identical to every other AEA online database.
Okay.
All right, so the next section that would be good to highlight here is parents and community. And whether you're an educator or are really thinking more through the lens of parents and community, you should be able to find some really helpful information on this page. So at the top, we've got some of our latest resources that we really want to highlight. We've also got some recent articles and information here at the bottom. So you can see what is the Iowa Core, some Iowa Core facts. That's often helpful for people to get a beginning understanding about what the Iowa Core is all about. We have partnered with the Iowa Reading Research Center. They've got wonderful resources for families on supporting students with their early literacy skills, so you can get to those resources from here. And another resource that we really would like to highlight are the parent guides for the Iowa Core. This is something that was developed in collaboration with people from the Department of Education, from AEAs. We had members of parents and community review these as well. And we partnered with the National PTA to help with the development of some of these as well. So what I'd like to do now is show you an example of what the parent guides look like. So when you click on the parent guides, the first thing you'll see here is we've got a parent guide for each grade level and then one for high school. So we'll just continue through with this example that we had earlier, and we looked at a third grade reading standard. So I'm going to click on third grade. And it takes you to a page where you can open up or download the guide itself in a PDF format. So you should be able to read this on any device since it's a PDF. The first page of the parent guide gives you a very broad overview of the Iowa Core and why it's important to have academic standards. And then there's a little section over here on how the standards are organized. And that's important because the standards are organized different for literacy and math versus science, social studies, and 21st century skills. So to understand how to read these parent guides, it's important to know how the standards are organized. So we've got a little explanation over here on the bottom right-hand side. And then what you'll see is that the document is organized by content area. So again, this is all third grade. And what you'll see is a brief introduction to the content area and then examples of what children will be working on. It's not everything that's in the Iowa Core for third grade math, but there are some examples of some things that are in the Iowa Core for third grade math. And then we've got some ideas about what parents and caregivers can do at home to support their children's learning in the Iowa Core. And we not only have that for math, but as you can see on this page, we've got it for English language arts and literacy. We've got it for science and social studies and 21st century skills. So it's pretty short. It's not everything that's in the Iowa Core, but it does give a nice overview of what the Iowa Core is all about, things that kids are learning in school, and some ideas for parents and caregivers about what they could do with their children at home to support learning in the Iowa Core.
So that's just some basic general information that people could use at parent-teacher conferences or maybe at the beginning of the school year, those types of things.
Absolutely. And you can either, depending on how you want to do it, you can either print some of these out and hand them out to parents and caregivers, or you can give people the link to the website. And the most helpful link would probably be this one for parents and community. Get them to this and then just tell them to go to the parent guides and they could download them from there.
Okay.
So the last section that I'd like to show people here on the website is that Iowa Core Spotlight. So I'm going to go all the way back to the home page here and scroll back down to the bottom here to Iowa Core Spotlight and just click on this yellow button. And what it does is you can see, and this is just a start, but we've got 10 testimonials about how the Iowa Core has influenced a wide range of people. We've got several Iowa Teachers of the Year, including our current Iowa Teacher of the Year, Jane Schmidt. We've got members of the business community. Gary Schulten from the Principal Financial Group, for example, is very dedicated to the Iowa Core. We've got people from AEAs, for example, Sue Runyon here from Keystone AEA, who's been a wonderful advocate and supporter of the Iowa Core and helping educators implement the Iowa Core. You can see members from the Iowa Business Council and Higher Education, all supporters of the Iowa Core. And you can click on any one of these things here, and I'll go ahead and click on Sarah Brown Westlings here. She was not only our 2010 Iowa Teacher of the Year, but she was the National Teacher of the Year that year as well. And what you can see is a brief testimonial from Sarah on what the Iowa Core has meant to her. So some of these are very brief. We can check out Gary Schulten's here, and what you can see is Gary's is a little bit longer. So there's no one right or wrong way for people to express their support for the Iowa Core. These are just different ways people have done it. In the future, we'll have things like videos and some other resources that are really bring the Iowa Core to life for people so they can see what it's all about. So that's what the Iowa Core Spotlight page is really intended for, is to tell that story of the Iowa Core. So that's right now what you can find in that section of the website.
Okay. So, Brad, anything else about the new Iowa Core website that you want people to be aware of?
I think the most important thing at this point for people to be aware of is that this is a beginning. We've got a lot of helpful resources here on the Iowa Core website to get people going and supporting the work they've been doing so far. With that being said, we will continue to add more resources to the website over time, and it's really important to us that this is a partnership between the Department of Education, the AEAs, schools and districts, parents and community, and business to make this website what it needs to be. So please don't hesitate to contact any of the people that are listed here under the Contact Us and let us know some ideas or things that we can do better. You can use this feedback form right here as well, and we will check that and make sure that we communicate with you about your questions or your reflections. Because at the end of the day, the Iowa Core can sit as a set of standards and just be there, or it can really be a central piece of what we do to support learning for our children across the state. And at the Department of Education, we are very dedicated to partnering with everyone around the state to really bring the Iowa Core to life. So each and every student has an equal chance to learn everything that's in the Iowa Core.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Rob.